This is UMAR AHMED for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. I'm at Sky Sports HQ, joined by Eddie Hearn. How are you doing after our interview in Sheffield?
Doing well. How many views are we up to?
Nearly 100k.
Is that all?
Caused a bit of controversy,
Was that
didn't
you?
it?
Because did you make that headline?
No, Coogan.
Did he? He's an arsehole, isn't he?
I emailed it to him.
I know, but he's like, of all the nice things I said about Tyson Fury in that interview, he picked up the one where I said, it wasn't a great fight though, so I got a little bit of stick for that, but it's what we like to do.
I've been getting stick as well. I did an interview with Frank Smith, right?
Yeah.
And it was labelled, this is the B-Tech Coogan and Eddie version.
You can't win, the internet always wins.
Do you want to just tell the IFL viewers what we're doing here today?
So yeah, we've been at a sort of media screening of the documentary about the first Dillian Whyte-Chisora fight, which sort of gave you the insight into the build-up for that fight, and obviously a lot of the fight itself, which when you watch it back was the best heavyweight fight, I think I've been to live. That and AJ against Klitschko.
Chisora Takam?
I think this was a better fight, but I mean, because you got 12 rounds in that fight, or did you get 8 or 7 and a bit in that fight?
Yeah,
so, listen, that was amazing, and I didn't expect Chisora to win by knockout in that fight. So, it was dramatic, but this was grueling. This was dangerous. This was violent, and I think you're going to get the same thing on December 22nd. So, a lot of the media here, we were answering questions. David Hay here, and I'm excited for the fight.
Yeah. Watching that first fight back, the amount of left hooks that Derek landed, I didn't realise at the time.
I know. Well, I think both fighters were hurt in the fight, but like I just said up there, they just trade, and they trade, and sooner or later, that's why I don't think the fight will go the distance this time, because I just think that after a while, how many flush shots can you take on the chin without getting rendered unconscious? And Dillian's got a lot more to lose in this fight. I think what I said up there, and I'm sure you saw it, like in the first gloves are off, the build up to that fight, it was only 2 years ago, but everyone was looking a lot fresher and younger, me included.
You were.
I know. So it was like, so you look at that and you think, Dillian, like back then, Dillian was just like, he had that street mentality. He just fought for the British title against Lewinson. He wasn't really making a lot of money. And then now he's a lot more mature. He's earned a lot of money. He's got a lot to lose. So does that change you as a person? Does that take that roughness away from you, that edge away from you? It's only natural. Some fighters lose that toughness, some fighters don't. I don't believe he has. But someone said to me, well, Chisora was in a real heavy duty fight last time around. Do you think that's taking anything out?
So was Dillian.
That's what I said. I said, hold on, Dillian was 10 seconds away from losing the fight with Parker. He was out on his feet he was hurt, but mostly he was exhausted. So he was in a tough fight as well, and he was in a very tough fight in the first Whyte-Chisora fight. So, like David said, when you're chopping that tree, eventually that tree will fall over. And how many times, like they did in that fight, can they continuously trade off without getting dropped or without getting knocked out? And that's why I believe in this fight, someone will get knocked out.
How difficult was it making a rematch?
Really, really, really difficult. We spent probably 6 months after the first fight trying to make it. Chisora felt like he won the fight. Dillian did win the fight, and from there obviously felt like he was the strong A side in the fight. Chisora sort of rebelled against that a little bit, and then Chisora sort of said, no, you know what, fuck it, I'll do my own thing. Get me a European title shot. Went and got him the fight against Kell, and he just he looked like he couldn't be bothered. I mean, it was a weird performance, and I'm sitting there in Monaco thinking, what have you done? You've lost the Dillian Whyte fight because you were stubborn enough and you just decided to take this fight, and you didn't even look that bothered. But it was the environment, I think. In Monaco, it's a very tough place to get yourself up for going to war, like he does when he's in the O2 or Manchester Arena, when he flips on the British balaclava, And I think to come back with a Takam win, this fight was dead, even before the Takam fight. And then he knocks out Takam, and then that's it. It's massive again. And I got to respect Chisora because he is the one who's made this happen again. By beating Takam, because it was over, and they both had career best wins on July the 28th.
Obviously, Dillian's been talked about for that April 13th date. Is he fully focused on this though?
Oh yeah. I mean, listen, like David said, an injury, a really bad cut, a loss, all those things can ruin that fight. So you can't rely on just going in there against Chisora, winning and being injury-free. Because to box on April 13th, you would have to have this fight, have 4 or 5 weeks off, and then go back into camp, right? So you've got to kind of have like a low-maintenance fight. I'm not really sure this is going to be a low-maintenance fight, but we'll see. So both fighters would love to go in there, win by knockout early, and then call out AJ for April 13th.
Did you ever have the feeling that Dylan would sort of wait out till that date and not take this fight?
No, because he just loves it. He loves it. Most normal people would have done. And probably my advice would have been, look, just wait. Why don't you wait and see what happens with AJ and Wilder? But he's like, I don't want to wait. I said, yeah, but you really want to go in there and do that with Chisora again? Yeah. You know? I mean, they're sick in the head. But that is what they live. They're warriors. They're not normal people. You know, I was watching that fight thinking, how can you want to do that again? How can you want to go through that again? And you know when both guys get tired, and then most people would think, I'll have a breather here. They're going, he's tired. Let's go at him. But they're both thinking that. You know what I mean? That's when you get great fights. And they're just, they're warriors. They are absolute warriors, and they love to stand toe to toe and go to war, and they'll do it all over again December 22nd.
Yeah, obviously another pay-per-view that night. How do you think that will affect sort of the buys for this one?
Someone asked me that earlier. I don't know. Like, we may lose. How many buys were that? I don't know, 30,000, 30 to 50,000 max. And it's not ideal. I'd rather not lose those buys. It's going to cost us money or cost Dillian Whyte and Chisora money by losing 30,000 buys or 40,000 buys. So, but we only had one date at the O2, and Sky wanted to go on that date. Obviously, we got Canelo on December the 15th. We would have rather probably. I think the best date to go would have been the 15th. The 8th was tough because it was off the back of Wilder Fury. December 22nd. Even the 22nd is not really ideal because it's very close to Christmas. But you've got a fight here that will do 500,000 plus pay-per-views on December 22nd, and I'm not being disrespectful to Warrington Frampton. It's a really good fight, but it's a trade fight, and it's on a small platform that won't do that many buys. So we couldn't look at it in a way that, we can't go on that night. And
so it's not competition then?
It's always competition. It's always competition, and in an ideal world, we wouldn't go on that night because like I said, people say, "Oh, you went on that night to." No, I would have loved to have gone on the 15th, but it wasn't possible. But don't forget, I did Frampton against Quigg, which was 5 times the fight that this one is in terms of build-up. Yeah, mate, you might have been in nappies then, but it was unified, right? It was on Sky. It was a sellout within 10 minutes of going on sale. They're still on sale now. It was me against McGuigan. It was Gallagher against McGuigan. And of course, it was Quigg against Frank. Mate, it was epic. The build-up. There's no real animosity. Like when they do a Belfast press conference, there's no noise. When we went, mate, it was ferocious. We were getting abused, and it was an unbelievable build-up. And it really did poorly on box office. So Frampton's a brilliant fighter. I think he's a top man. Obviously, I've worked with Warrington, all the same. But it's not. The man on the street. He's not coming up to me saying, who do you think is going to win out of Warrington Frampton? They're going, Whyte and Chisora are doing it again. Big heavyweights, big news.
Okay, let's take our mind back to Sheffield. Wasn't the best Kell Brook, fair to say.
Yeah, disappointing really. I mean, he put a lot of pressure on himself to perform. I'm better than ever. I'm in best shape I've ever been. And they were the truths in what we'd seen. His sparring was brilliant. He was razor sharp. His weight was great. He was in brilliant physical condition. It looked like he was going to get him out there in the first round. Then he sort of sulk, but he sort of lowered his level a little bit. Didn't look that sharp. Zerafa was coming in low a lot, and he was punching down.
He wasn't too bad, Zerafa.
Zerafa's a good fighter. Like, he's tough. He took a lot of punishment.
Good right hand as well.
Yeah. Kell got hit much too much. But did he get hit much too much because he didn't have the respect and he wasn't, scared? But when Kell boxed Sean Porter, he was almost scared. He was so sharp. He was razor sharp. Against Zerafa, he was getting chinned and thinking, what am I doing? You can't do that at an elite level. Zerafa's not elite. You know, I think I've already said about AHMED Khan. I think watching that, thinking, I'll stop Kell Brook.
Did you see his little video that was going around?
Yeah. Well, I see you put it out.
Yeah.
But I think that AHMED is now the favourite in that fight. And before Saturday, maybe Kell was a slight favourite. But before Vargas, AHMED was a slight favourite. So nothing will ever be decided until they get in the ring. And I don't know whether that will happen.
Talks about, obviously, Crawford-Khan, we've mentioned this. What sort of chance do you give AHMED in that fight?
It's not what chance I give AHMED in that fight. It's what chance you give any welterweight in the world in that fight. Because to me, the standout 147s at the moment are Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. So the bookies will tell you what chance you give AHMED Khan in that fight. AHMED is a brilliant fighter. He's got amazing speed, but Crawford is a special fighter. And I'd rather look at it like this. You know, what chance do you give him against Crawford, and what chance do you give him against Brook? You know, so but AHMED's going to make the decision that he feels is best for his career, and you know, we'll talk to him and sit down and go through that with him. In
Sheffield, you told me if Brook-Khan doesn't happen, you're looking for Brook at 147. Is that still the case?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, look, he weighed 150 on Saturday, or for Saturday's fight, and he didn't have to make 150. I don't know whether that was a reason why he was a little bit flat as well, because if he come in at 154, would he have been so flat? I don't know. He feels that he can make 147. Okay, you know, he's agreed to make 147 to fight Khan. He's agreed to the rehydration clause as well, to try and help get it over the line, which is another advantage to AHMED. And Kell's going to have to decide. Like, he's mandatory to Jarrett Hurd. So does he take that fight for the light middleweight world title, or does he fight Danny Garcia,
Thurman,
Sean Porter again? He's already beaten him. Jesse Vargas, who's with us, that's a fight that can get made. So yeah, he's got some decisions to make. But you know, the trainer, a lot of people were like, why are you so down? You know, to Kell, he's like, I just felt $1 million, and I was going to go out there and look $1 million, and I didn't. He said, yeah, but you've been with a trainer for 12 years, and you've just switched trainers. You can't expect to just click in automatically. So, but he wasn't sharp enough. He did get hit too much, and I still believe he has a big future.
Talking about the Sheffield card, did you see Tevin Farmer's video to John O'Carroll?
Yeah, I did. I retweeted that. It's an interesting fight. I mean, again, I actually think that John O'Carroll had a little bit of a virus. There's all kinds of viruses going around. Josh Kelly had it, and he had it 2 weeks before the weigh-in as well. And after the fight, John O'Carroll was taken to hospital, but it was almost like he had the symptoms of a virus. You know, he's cold, shivery, sore throat. He had a headache as well. That's why we took him.
Affected him against Frenroy?
He just looked a bit flat as well. Kell didn't have a cold, but I don't know. I said to John, you do the weight all right? Yeah, perfect. I just got really tired, and that's not me. So I don't know whether he's going to, you know, that's what happened to him in that fight. I thought Frenroy was brilliant. I thought he just nicked it for one round. But a draw, you know, I don't think you can complain at a draw. It's going to be interesting now what we do in terms of, do we just go straight for the Tevin Farmer fight, or do you rematch to become the mandatory? We may go straight for that Farmer fight. Jono had about 4 cuts, which he always seems to get. So, you know, there is a chance we could do that mid-March, which is something like 14 weeks away, or 13 weeks. So, again, he'd have 3 or 4 weeks, 5 weeks before he had to go back into camp. So, we'll see how those cuts heal up, make sure he's fit and healthy. But he's still learning. You know, the Farmer fight's a big jump from Frenroy, as Tennyson found out, you know. But when you get the opportunity, it's hard to turn those kind of life-changing opportunities down. And I do think America would love him as well.
Fight week now, obviously, for Canelo. Rocky, when are you flying out?
Wednesday.
Okay.
You going?
Nope, Coogan is, though. Yeah.
Obviously.
We were just talking about your little title for the video.
B-Tech.
Oh, me and Frank Smith.
Oh, that one, B-Tech.
Do you think that's a true reflection?
What, B-Tech? I think you're getting better. I thought you were a bit pony to start with, but you're getting better.
What about Frank?
Frank's pony as well. Frank is one of the best operators in boxing. It's just his press conferences, which I'll just take the piss out of him for. After a minute, he's quite solid, but just in the first minute, He's a little bit nervous. Talks about the fight card. But he's getting better and better.
So you're flying out Wednesday, you said?
Flying out Wednesday, public workouts. It's going to start early, actually, on Sky, because we've got Katie Taylor on the card defending her world title. She's in a great fight. Got Tevin Farmer, got Ryan Garcia, you've got David Lemieux, and obviously you've got Canelo against Rocky. And I'm buzzing for Rocky. I mean, listen, it's going to be an absolute mountain to climb, but I'll tell you, he's up for it. Got a great trainer in Jamie Moore, great team that will fill in with confidence. He's got a big size advantage on Canelo, but as we saw Canelo on the pads and body belt the other day, you're talking about pound for pound number one, probably. So Rocky's got to go in there and do it. It's all up to him now. He's got the opportunity to go and make a major name for himself.
I see that tweet you put out where you put goosebumps over a video of the promos. You see the comments underneath it though?
Yeah, but I said that. I did that on Wingy's interview the other day. You know, it's like, you can't really win, because I was, and that one we done or Wingy done with, when I was talking about social media comments, I saw a couple of comments about that. Oh, Hearn always moans about comments on social media, says he don't really care about them. I never get a comment on social media that changes my heart rate. Even when people say, I hope you die. It doesn't bother me. It bothers me more, in fact, it infuriates me when I see people who want to respond to a tweet about Rocky Fielding saying he's got no chance, going to get chinned, and Rocky's tagged in. Like, I know it's the brutal world of social media. I just can't understand people. Like, you should wish success on everybody, because it will come back to you. And if you think Rocky's going to lose, well, I mean, he reads all his social media, he reads all his posts, all his mentions. Is that what you're trying to do? You're trying to, like, give him negativity going into a fight like this? And you know, that's what I said the other day. You got someone here who is achieving more than me, you, Dopey Bollocks over there, put together, like, times a million. He has won a world title. He's going to fight at Madison Square Gardens against Canelo. Can you not just go, mate, I am so happy for you. Go and shock the world, son. You know what I mean? But if I moan about it, people think I just moan about so. But I don't. You can say to me what you want. I don't give a monkeys. And I'm not out there like working, like road running at 4 o'clock in the morning and doing 15 rounds of sparring and putting my life on the line every time I go into the ring like these people are. So you can call me what you want, but don't do it to fighters. Because, you know, you look at people like Adonis Stevenson, you know, and what they go through and what's capable of acting in the ring. These guys, they know the dangers and they put it on the line every time they go into the ring. So what right have you sitting there in your pyjamas in your mum's spare room, knocking one out and eating a pizza, got to do to criticise people who are out there achieving and living their dream? You know, that's all I'm getting at. And if I go on too far, then I'm just moaning about, oh, Hearn's talking about the mum's spare room again, knocking one out over a pizza. But that's just what I think. Who are these people to criticise someone like that going on to like, it's the pinnacle of the sport. The pinnacle. Canelo at Madison Square Gardens. Fucking hell. How can you criticise it? How can you try and be negative about it? You know, I would just, even if I wasn't a boxing fan, I saw that video, I would just think, fucking hell, go on, son. You know, but I guess everyone's different.
Talking about Canelo, obviously, if he comes through this fight, people linking him with the third fight with Golovkin. Has there been any progress on Golovkin-Smith for Anfield next year?
Not really, no. I mean, you know, Golovkin's talking to everybody to decide his next move promotionally from a broadcaster sense, and we're in that mix as well, as a lot of people are. Obviously, we've got a home for him on DAZN to fight Canelo, to be in other big middleweight fights as well. I don't know what he's going to do. You know, that's the big fight out there for him. And, you know, Canelo's got to get through Rocky Fielding. Maybe you see Canelo, Rocky Fielding. Maybe you see Rocky Fielding-Callum Smith too. Yeah. See what happens on Saturday. But, you know, everything's in play right now. It's really interesting times for boxing. Full stops. Everything's just spinning around like this plates spinning all over the place. And I've never known a time where there's so many great fights to make internationally and domestically. you know, and that means it's a great time for the sport.
Has Tom Loeffler sort of shown any interest for that Smith fight?
I think everything's undecided with Gennady Golovkin and his team and the moves they're going to make at the moment. So until that's in order, I think there won't be a lot of talk about actual fights until he knows where his new home will be.
Just lastly, back to this card on the 22nd, you got obviously Charlie Edwards fighting for a WBC. A lot of people said the Casemiro fight was too early, which it probably was.
Probably was, yeah. I mean, you don't really know till you jump in, do you? But in that division, when you get an opportunity like that, really you've got to take it. And Casemiro was too experienced, too strong for Charlie Edwards at the time. And by the way, the Rosales fight's going to be very, very, very difficult. I do feel he's more mature now. I do think he's a better fighter. I do think he's stronger. I do think he punches harder. And I think he's got a great chance to become world champion on December 22nd. But it's going to be very tough for Charlie Edwards. But what a chance.
Reece Bellotti in with Ryan Walsh.
Yeah, it's going to be an electric
title fight.
Yeah. I mean, Reece Bellotti coming off a disappointing loss to Ryan Doyle for the Commonwealth title, had a good win at the Copper Box and going straight back in. He punches very, very hard, and you know he's going to need to get older. Ryan Walsh, who is very experienced and he's a quality fighter himself.
Winner to fight Jordan Gill potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. Jordan Gill, you know, boxed beautifully, beating Doyle, and I think it's a natural fight for the winner of that fight to go on and fight Jordan Gill.
Any other fights on the card just to mention?
David Price against Tom
Of
Little,
course.
Joshua Boatzy against Quinlan, which is a really good fight. I mean, we saw Quinlan over here at super middle. He's a big super middle, and now he's up at light heavyweight. Watch his last fight against Hooper. It's a war. He's got a good chin, punches very, very hard, and it's a good fight for Boatzy. First real step up. David Price against Tom Little, which is going to be very interesting. Price must win, and Little really, really fancies it. There'll be another heavyweight fight announced on the card this week as well. And then obviously you got the big one, the main event.
Another heavyweight fight on the card. Go on.
You're not as good as your boss getting it at me.
Tackdown.
Oh, all right.
Well, he said it in the Q&A.
Oh, yeah, all right.
Just been sent that from Derek. Nice, isn't it?
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, click on it.
On a show.
It's not going to be Michael Hunter, is it?
No, it was. It could have been.
Yeah.
But he's got a slight injury, and you know he's just beaten Bakoli, Ustinov, and I think it was just one step too far. That literally would have been those 3 fights in 7 or 8 weeks, you know. So I think he's going to have he's signed with us now, Hunter. So he's
right in the mix as well.
Yeah,
2 good wins.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Eddie Hearn, thank you very much for your time, and I'm sure we'll catch up soon. Right.